Hello and welcome. On 13th November 2024, Expo released its latest version, the SDK 52, which includes the React Native 0.76. Both Expo and React Native have a new architecture called the Bridgeless. If you want to learn a little bit more about the Bridgeless architecture, I have provided a link for a blog in the description below, which explains about it. In this video, we will build a Node app using Expo SDK 52, Expo SQLite, and I will also use React Native navigation. First of all, install Expo npx create Expo app at latest -- template. Select a default JavaScript template and give a name to the project. After the installation has completed, cd into the project and start the application. npm run start. Then open the Expo Go app on your phone and scan the QR code generated in the terminal. Please do remember your phone and your computer must be on the same network, and if you're using a USB cable, then instead of running npm run start, use npm run android. Let me change the color of the text and see if it's working or not. Okay, the application is running. Now I will install React Native Navigation. At first, I tried to install its latest version as all the requirements seems to be fulfilled, but instead I ended up getting this error. So I stepped down a version and installed the version 6.x. From the documentation, copy and run this line npm install add React Native navigation / native add 6.x. Then install React Native screens and React Native shape area context. After that, go to the next page in the documentation and install React Navigation and React Native Stack 6.x. After the installations have completed, copy these lines of code from the documentation and paste them in the app.js file. The home screen is the default or first screen in the application, and all the screens must be placed within the navigation container in the app component. Now add a button in the home screen using touchable opacity that will navigate the user to the node screen. First, import touchable opacity from React Native. Then add the touchable text in the JSX and within them add the text nodes. Add some CSS styles of width 80%, padding 5, border color red, border width 1 and border radius 10. Align the text to the center and give it a color red. Create a components folder within it, add a subfolder nodes, which in turn will contain a file node screen. To navigate to the node screen, we will first have to place it in the navigation container in the app.js file. So write stack.screen, give a name to the screen. It is not necessary that the name should be the same as that of the component, but from now on, the component will only be referred to using this name. Then write component node screen. Here the component is automatically imported, but we should ensure that it happens. In the nodes button, add on press, also pass the navigation as props to the home screen. The navigation.navigate within parentheses, pass the name of the screen you want to navigate to. This should begin with lowercase. Let's try it. Okay, it is working. If you want to pass parameters to the routes, this is how you do it. We will go to the documentation, copy this JSON and paste it in the navigate. Then in the node screen, I will pass in route and navigation to the nodes function and destructure the route.params and assign the values to item, ID and other params. Then display the parameters on the screen. Save the changes. Then on your phone, go back to the home screen and press on the nodes again. You will see that the parameters are being displayed. Now we will start building the actual node app. For that, we will first install Expo SQLite npx expo install expo SQLite. In the node screen file, import useState use fallback from React. Import SQLite provider and use SQLite context from Expo SQLite. Import use navigation and use focus effect from React navigation. Finally, import ion icons from add expo vector icons ion icons. I will now declare a function that will create a table if it does not already exist. Const initialize db, async db, setup a try-catch block. Inside the try block, await db, execute async. Then I will copy these two lines of query from the docs and paste it here. Change the name of the table to nodes db, add auto increment to the ID column and also add two more columns, one for a date and the other for a node. Console log db is connected and in case there is an error, console log it. I will then create another component called nodelist which will display the nodes. Copy the JSX from the nodes component and pass it here. Remove these lines as we do not need them anymore. In the nodes component, we will use the SQLite provider and use SQLite context hook to initialize and connect to the database. For that, we will have to first create a SQLite provider container, then pass the name of the database. I will change the name of the table to nodes table. I will then name the database as sdkpt2.db. And on init means on initialization, it will call the initialize db function and run the query to create the table if it does not exist. Finally, place the nodelist component inside the container and save the changes. In the nodelist, create an instance of the use SQL context hook as db. Create a state variable called nodes using useState, which will be an array that will store the nodes fetched from the database. Declare a function, async function, fetch nodes. Inside it, declare a variable result, which will hold the response to the query db.get all async. Get_all_async is a method in Expo SQLite. If you look at their documentation, you will see a number of different methods. Then within parentheses, write a query, select star from nodes table. Update the state of nodes with the fetch results. I will also console log the results. Now to return the JSX elements, insert a pair of shape area view text, then map over the nodes area to display the node and date. Since the table is empty, the screen will be blank. So I will now create a screen to create nodes. Then I will construct the rest of the display screen. We will create a button to navigate to an add node screen using touchable opacity. Add the touchable opacity text within them and add a plus sign. Give some CSS styles to the screen. Flex 1, padding 10, position relative, height 100%. Then in the touchable opacity, give justify content center, align item center, position absolute, border radius 50, top 80%, right 30, width 50, height 50, and elevation 5. For the text, give color white and font size 35. Now if the font throws this kind of error, just dismiss them and press R in the VS Code terminal to reload the app again. You may or may not get these errors. Even if you get them, it will stop as you proceed building the application. Create a new file, add node, then import view, text input, button, alert, style sheet from React Native. Import SQLite provider and use SQLite context from Expo SQLite. Import use state from React and use navigation for React Navigation Native. Create a default component, add node, and then create another component, node input. Copy the initialize DB function on a node screen and paste it here. Then copy the SQLite provider container on the node screen and paste it in the add node component. Change node list to node input. In the node input component, declare a variable DB and create an instance of the use SQLite context hook. Similarly, const navigation equal use navigation. Declare state variables node using use state hook, and this will be a string. Now we will construct the JSX, which will contain a multi-line text input. Text input style, let declare a style sheet, const style, create style sheet, and add these styles. Assign the text input style to the input and container to the view. In the text input tab, give multi-line true, value will be node, and add an onChange text event listener, which will update the set node state with the input text. For the placeholder, type your nodes here and text align vertical drop. Add a button with title add node. Then import the add node screen in the app.js file and place it in the navigation container. In the node screen, create an instance of use navigation and assign it to a variable navigation. Give an on-press event listener to the add node button navigation.navigate add node. Let's try it out. Okay, it is working. In the add node screen, create a function to add the node to the database. Let date string equal to new date dot to ISO string. This creates a new date object for the current date and time. Convert it con- Converts it to an ISO 8601 string format like YY, MM, and DD. Let date equal to date string dot slice within parentheses 0, comma date string dot index of t. This will extract the date portion by slicing the string up to the t character. Dot split within parentheses dash splits the string into an array using the dash as delimiter. Then this reverses the array's elements to arrange them as ddmmyy. Dot joins the array back into a string with dash as a separator. Then await db.run async and run the query to add the node and a date to the database. Await db.run async, insert into node table date, node, values, date, node. After adding the node, an alert will be given that the node is added. After saving the node, we will navigate back to the node screen, navigation.go back. Call the function in the add node button. To resolve the error that is being displayed in the terminal, close the bracket and place a semicolon at the end of the query. Do the same in the node screen. I will dismiss this error and reload the application. Now let us try to add a new node. Node added, but node screen is not displaying anything. To display the nodes, complete the JSX. Add text, tags, item.date and item.node. We will use the useFocus effect, which is a React Native navigation hook which reloads the screen after it comes into focus. This hook worked perfectly in the previous Expo versions, but unfortunately does not work that well in SDK 51 and 52. Or maybe I am the idiot who is unable to configure it properly. Use focus effect, use callback, and call the fetch node function. Save it, and we have fetched and displayed the nodes. But I did find a way to work around the issue with use focus effect hook. Instead of using go back or navigate, we will use navigation.replace. This will replace the existing screen with the screen that we passed. See, now it's working. Now add some styles and make the screen look better. I will add some view text to change the structure of the screen. The date and the delete button will be placed in one row and the next row will house the first 50 characters of the node. For the delete button, add touchable opacity, then place a pair of text, and then use ionic icons to add a trash can. Add another node, the alert is been displayed. To edit the node, I will add another screen that will display the full node and also the options to update it. Add a file called view node. Since it will mostly be similar to add node, I will just copy some of the codes from here to there. Then create a component view node. Copy the SQLite provider container and paste it here. We can remove the on init as the database and table is already created at this point. Create another component called edit node which will contain the text input and functions to update. The component will take the ID of the node as props in order to fetch it from the database. Since the node input to edit node, extract the ID from routes param. This is a navigation property. Pass the ID as a prop to the edit node component. The variable node ID will contain the ID. Copy these lines of code from the add node and paste them in the edit node component. Then I will use the useEffect hook to call a function to fetch the node using the ID. Now create a fetch node function, async function fetch node. Inside it, set up a try catch block. Inside the try block, const result await db dot get first async a Expo SQLite property that returns only the first row from the table. Then write the query select node from nodes table where id equal to question mark. Then pass the node id. I will console log the fetch node. If there is an error, I will console log the errors. For the return.jsx part, I will again copy from the add node screen and paste it here along with the CSS. This add node button will call a function to update the node. The first function only fetches the node. This one will update the node. Const update node async const text equal to node. Then write the query const result await db. Run async update node stable set node where id equal to and then pass the text and the node id. Then we will navigate back to the node screen by replacing this screen with it. Then go to the app.js file and import and place the view node component within the navigation container. There is an error. This should not be add node but should be view node. In the node screen, we will have a function that will navigate to the view screen and pass the ID as params. Set up a try catch block. In the try block, navigation to navigate and pass the view node and the ID. Now I will call the function when the text is pressed and pass the item.id as argument. Let us try it out. The note is not being displayed, so there is a note. We have to update the state of set node with result.node. Okay, the node is being displayed. Let us try it out. Okay, it is working. Just like the add node, after updating the node, we will replace the screen using navigation.replace instead of navigation.navigate or go back. Finally, for the delete operation function, delete node is declared as an asynchronous function to handle the asynchronous db.runAsync operation. Await db.runAsync delete from nodes table where id equal to %mark, id. This executes a SQL query to delete the node with a specific id from the nodes table. Let last node equal to within square brackets nodes dot filter node id not equal to id. This creates a new array excluding the deleted node using the filter method. This updates the state nodes with the modified array. Finally, we will display an alert confirming the deletion. And if there is an error, we will log a error message if the operation fails. I will call the delete function by adding an on press in a trace icon. Let's try it out. Okay, it is working. I really hope you like this video. Please do like, share and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.